Welcome back to the Welloff Podcast Season 3 and happy October. Happy Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I'm very excited for today's episode because listeners, I know that you are fans of our show and you're well aware that Gina Simm is a breast cancer survivor. But until now, we've never heard her entire story. And I'm really excited because today our guest is Gina Simm.
Oh my God, how about that?
I love it though.
Happy October. This actually is my favorite month of the year, even way before the whole breast cancer thing, because I'm a huge Red Sox fan. And we've made the playoffs for the first time in like a few years. So it's Soxtober as well as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And really exciting news is that Taylor Swift's album, The Life of a Showgirl, comes out in 2 days. I know you're not a Swiftie, but I'm a Swiftie.
No, I'm not a Swiftie. I'm not a Swiftie. I mean, I like her. I'm just not a huge fan. I have no axe to grind with T Swizzle. Is that what they call her?
Oh yeah. I mean, look at you. I mean, that podcast that she did a podcast with her boyfriend on New Heights a couple months ago, and it was like the most watched podcast on the universe. And it was just, it was 2 hours long, and she gave a lot of good tidbits. And one of the things that she said that really resonated with me is that your energy is expensive. Think of it as a luxury item. Not everybody can afford it. So who you spend your time and energy on, that's your whole day. We're entering our season 3 era. So we've had a few episodes so far. So far, so good.
I know, I'm loving it. And I'm so thrilled to have this opportunity and also honored because like I said, and our listeners who have stuck with us through all of our seasons know that we've mentioned it and you've shared things here and there, but we've never really learned of your whole journey. And your journey was really traumatic and you went through a lot. But look at you. You're beautiful. You're vibrant. You're sparkling. You're
my glow up era. My glow up era.
And that's what matters. But why don't we start like we do with any other guest and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Gina Simm, and actually my real name is Gina Simeone, but we shortened it, for
to be famous.
To be famous, yeah, no, shortened it because Dr. Tara and Gina Simm sounded better than Simeone, so hence the Simm. And I love that my brother's like, now people are asking me if I'm Michael Simm.
Well, that's cool. I love that.
I know, right? So anyway, so I was born and raised in Connecticut, and I've lived in a lot of different places. Went to school in New Jersey, then moved to Myrtle Beach for 9 years. Then I was in Boston for 7 years, and then in Jersey for 5 years. And now I am back in Connecticut for the past 3 years. And I couldn't be happier being close to my parents and my brother and my sister-in-law and my 4 nieces and nephews, and of course, my friends.
And you have such a beautiful network of people that just love you and surround you and support you, which was a huge part, at least in my opinion, of your healing during your breast cancer journey.
Yeah, so it was a pretty traumatic time. I had just moved to New Jersey. It was 2017. I just moved to New Jersey to live with my boyfriend and his 2 kids. My dad had just suffered a severe stroke that put him in the hospital for months. So it was in May of 2017. So he was in the hospital until probably mid-July. So at least 2 months in the hospital recovering from these strokes. And then we had to put him in a nursing home because he was not able to walk or eat or do any of the things. So it was a very hard and stressful time. And I know sometimes people say cancer can be derived from stress. And I do honestly think that was a contributing factor is the amount of stress because he almost died like 3 times. So it was a very like kind of rough transition. I was actually moving my 2 best friends, Jill and Marcy, moved me out of Boston while I'm in the hospital with my dad. And then I was living in Connecticut for a month before our house was ready in New Jersey. So then moved to New Jersey, went from single life to all of a sudden I was in family life and there were kids and friends and it was crazy. So it was a lot of transition and a lot of stress. And then, some people might not know this, but then I actually got pregnant in that fall of 2017. Then I had a miscarriage in February of 2018. And it was right around then I noticed some changes in my breasts and I felt these 2 lumps. And I was actually watching an episode of Grey's Anatomy, and it was talking about breast cancer, and it was like a whole episode about it. And I was like, just something went off in my brain, and I'm like, you know what? I need to go get these checked. So I made an appointment the next day with my PCP, and he was great. And so he immediately was like, I'm sending you to the imaging center. You need to go get these checked. So I was 38 years old at the time. So never had a mammogram. So I go, they do the mammogram, and oh my God, first of all, they just squished my poor little boob right into that.
I know. They're barbaric. There has to be a better way.
Yes. So did that. And then immediately they just said, okay, we're going to have you go sit in the waiting room because we need to do an ultrasound. So I'm like, okay, immediately I know this isn't good. So I'm starting to panic, and I'm by myself because like I didn't think that I had cancer. So then they pull me into another room and do an ultrasound, and the tech was probably not the best tech in the world because as a tech, you're not supposed to have any reaction, right? Well,
Right.
she did. And she was just like, oh yeah, this is definitely something. I'm like,
Oh.
Cool. Okay. So she's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is cancer. Literally saying that to me as I'm lying on the table, like my arm up over my head. I'm like, oh my God. So then they put me back in a waiting room. So now I am freaking out, like absolutely freaking out. And then they call me into their office and they're like, you have a high suspicion of malignancy and we need to schedule a biopsy ASAP. So I'm like, okay, fine. So they schedule the biopsy. I go home. I'm like freaking out. I talked to my PCP. He's like, absolutely not. You're not getting your biopsy. There was just some imaging center that does not specialize in breast imaging. It's a full service imaging center. He's like, you're going right to Memorial Sloan Kettering, which they luckily have a satellite office in Middletown, New Jersey, which was only about a half hour, 20 minutes from me. So make an appointment with the breast surgeon, go there. They do the biopsy there. Which was so uncomfortable and awful. Like for any of you that have gotten a biopsy of any kind,
Yes.
Haven't you gotten
I
a
have.
biopsy?
Yeah. I've had numerous scares in my, adult female career, knock on wood. To date, nothing's been malignant, but I've been through that.
Yeah. So, it's like they have like this vacuum. And so the whole time I'm just like, I'm turning my head to the side and I'm singing Shoop because Salt and Pepper is my happy place. And I'm not singing it in my head. I'm singing it out loud. And they're like, okay. So, by the end of the biopsy, everybody was dancing and singing Salt and Pepper, but that's just how it rolls. So let's fast forward. Waiting on my results. That's the worst part, is waiting. And then I go to pick up my scans from the imaging center to bring to Memorial Sloan, and I open them and it says BI-RADS category 5. Now I have no idea what a BI-RADS category is, let alone a category 5. So immediately my brain goes to, I have stage 5 cancer. I'm dying. Even though there's no stage 5. But,
right.
So I freak out. So I call my friend Nikki, who is a nurse practitioner, and she was dating a radiologist at the time. And I was like, I need you to get him on the phone. I need to find out what this is, what this means, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, long story short, she's like, okay, that just means that they think it's cancer, which you already know, so like, let's calm down. So one thing I want to point out is, I know we've talked about this in some of our other episodes with breast cancer, but a BI-RADS category is something that people don't talk about. They don't tell you about it. And it's something that everybody has on their mammogram. So when you get a mammogram and you get your results, look at it to see what your BI-RADS category is. It's 1 through 6. So
you taught me this.
Yeah.
I didn't even know as a medical person. You taught me this, and now I look.
So it's something to kind of help you gauge, what your BI-RADS category is and like the severity of whatever's happening in your breasts. And so most people are going to be a 1, 2, maybe 3. So if it's a 3, they're probably going to send you for an ultrasound to do more imaging. If it's a 4, it's a suspicion of malignancy. If it's a 5, it's high suspicion of malignancy. So just to give you some sort of baseline, not to freak anybody out, but you need to know.
Sure.
And, one of my friends just had her mammogram and her BI-RADS category came back as a 2, but she has dense breasts. So I told her, I said, they just passed a law in Connecticut that if you have dense breasts, ultrasounds are covered by insurance and you need to go get further imaging.
Mm.
And so I just think that that's something so important that every woman needs to know, that no matter what, look at your BI-RADS category, look if you have dense breast, continue to get the imaging, because you need to catch this early if you ever have something like that.
Yes, yes. Such a lesson for us all. And we want to keep hearing about your journey, but I just want to reflect and validate that in the midst of this, you're moving from one state to another, and your father, who was what I've heard from you, a real man's man,
Yeah.
is now struck down with this very, very severe stroke. And your family is going through this tremendous ordeal, right?
Yeah.
And in the midst of it, you lose a pregnancy, which is so traumatic. And I feel like in our culture, people are very dismissive of miscarriages,
Yeah.
but it's a loss. It's a life. And there's so much emotion when you find out you're pregnant, and it's like it's all of it comes to a screeching halt when you lose a baby. So all of those things, and now this ordeal that you're describing of being diagnosed with breast cancer.
Yeah, it was a lot. My mom was also selling our childhood home at the time, and I didn't tell her, or I didn't tell my family what was happening until I had a plan, till I got the biopsy results back, and they're like, okay, the breasts are positive, the lymph nodes are negative, so that means we can go to surgery right away, and, let's get this done. So I didn't tell them anything. My mom was so stressed out with selling the house, and my brother and sister-in-law just found out they were pregnant with their fourth child, unplanned. So, it was like a perfect storm of all these things happening. So everybody was kind of like stressed with their own things happening. And I'm like, I don't want to tell them this until I know exactly that I'm going to be okay. And that what the plan is. So once I found everything out, my boyfriend and his kids and I went up to Connecticut, and we told my mom and my brother and my sister-in-law in person. And then we went and saw my dad in the nursing home, told him in person. And the plan was, I'm going to be okay. The surgeon looked at me and said, this year's going to suck, but you're going to be okay. So let's just take comfort in that, so that was really great. Great advice. But, there's a lot of waiting. And I know we've talked about it with past guests that have been on the show about the waiting. Like, you get a test and then, so like there was like 2 weeks where I didn't know if I had stage 4 cancer or if I had stage 1, so like,
right.
I'm not sleeping. And I'm trying to the only person that really knew what I was going through was my boyfriend at the time. And he was very supportive and, helped me through that, which was great. But yeah.
And that word, when you hear that word, it's like someone press the pause button on your life, that
right.
It's like everything stops, and it becomes like a very critical point in your timeline of life, like pre-cancer, post-cancer, because nothing is the same after that.
No. Yeah. So then once we did the surgery, I had a double mastectomy. They took out 11 lymph nodes to double check. The other thing I want to point out is when you do have a biopsy, they take a small particle of one cell. So that particle came back and it was negative. I'm like, cool, it didn't spread. You have stage 1 cancer. Then when they did the surgery, they took the lymph nodes out and they sent them out for testing. It came back where 3 of those lymph nodes were positive for cancer. So that meant now I have to do chemotherapy and radiation. And I was not expecting that. I think one of the things I say to people is, expect the best, prepare for the worst, because I was not prepared for chemotherapy. I was reading cancer books and I was skipping those chapters. I'm like, I'm good. They said, I just have to have my surgery, have my double mastectomy, do some radiation. I'm good to go. And then when they told me I had to do chemotherapy, I crumbled. My best friend Jen came down and she was with me and my boyfriend was with me. And we were all in the, this is 2019. So obviously pre-COVID, we're all in the examining room with the surgeon. And I lost it. And I had to leave and go walk around the parking lot. I couldn't even compose myself because I just was in the state of shock. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, but again, she reiterated to me, this year is going to suck, but you're going to be okay. So that was traumatic.
Yeah. And it is because, there's a lot that, and I only know cancer journeys through family and most recently my husband that, when you are working with the team and getting the details, you're wrapping your head around a very specific plan.
Yeah.
So then to find out that that's not the case at all.
Right. Yeah.
It's devastating.
Yeah, it was rough. So then I gave myself the day. I gave myself the day to mourn whatever I was mourning, to feel whatever I was feeling. And, my friends and family gave me the space to do that. So that was great. And then the next day, like I am a former cheerleader. I'm a cheerleading coach. My whole motto is 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, let's go. Let's get your shit together. Like 5, 6, 7, 8. Very positive mentality, outlook, all of the things. So for me to be in that state, I think my friend Jen was like, she didn't know what to do with me. She was just like, oh my God, I've never seen you like this. Like, I was just like, leave me alone. I don't want to, it was just not me. So the next day I pulled my shit together and I'm like, okay, now let's make a plan. And the biggest thing I think for me mentally was to handle it one step at a time. And now when I talk to people that have been diagnosed with cancer, that's what I tell them. Just take it one step at a time. Like, what's the plan for this week? What's the plan for next week? And just don't think about long term. Just think about what you have to do and get through today and this week, and then move on to the next. And that mentality, I think, really helped me.
Yeah. One treatment at a time, one day at a time.
Yeah.
And I mean, your spirit, your sparkle, as we call it, is, I think, so much of what got you through all of this, because so much of how we deal with life in general is attitude. And obviously when you're diagnosed with a major health issue, it's yes, your team, but it's your mindset, it's how you approach it. And I mean, that whole cheerleading philosophy, I think, is like, we should all take a page out of your book. Yeah, because you went through something so incredibly difficult.
Yeah. But I kind of like look back, I haven't really reflected a lot on it, to be honest. And I kind of blacked out a lot during that period. And then recently when we've been interviewing guests that have had their own traumas, we have one coming up next week. That's, going to be really moving episode. We had Kristen, we had Kim Douglas, we've had a lot of people that have had this journey, and it's kind of starting to resurface my own journey. And, it's something that I've been working through in therapy. I've been in therapy ever since I got diagnosed with this horrible disease. But, I think talking to people and really like getting my story out there is only going to help others. It's not so much like, oh, listen to what I went through, this is horrible. It's just, listen to what I went through, but you can take the proper steps to help, catch it early if, God forbid, this does happen to you.
That's right. And, we're human, and such an important part of our health and well-being is staying connected and supported. And I think many people, women specifically, as we talk about breast cancer, and men too, but they feel alone. And I think the more we hear stories, it helps us to know that other people have experienced something so similar and they made it through to the other side, and they're healthy and vibrant and flourishing. And you can put all of that behind you and learn from it, because it does, it changes us when we go through traumatic events like that. But look at who you are. I mean, you're amazing. And
thanks.
Yeah.
And I mean, too.
Well, come on. I hang out with like-minded people. But seriously, like, women need to hear this, and men need to hear it, and partners need to hear it, and family members need to hear it, because it's hard. And there's so much, I feel like, under the hood of cancer that people don't know about until
Yeah.
they go through it. There's like, quirky little things like, and when we've talked about it with numerous guests whose journeys have been different, but
Yeah.
parallel to yours.
Yeah. And I think, just to highlight, something that is so, so important, we talk about, what well off means to you and like surrounding yourself with the right people. And
Mm-hmm.
I have to tell you that what got me through all of it is my people,
Mm-hmm.
my friends, my family. Like, it's just having that support system and a positive attitude with it is really what kind of, brought me through it. And, like when I had my surgery, my best friend Jeannie came, my best friend Marcy, and my mom were all there. My boyfriend obviously was there.
Mm-hmm.
It just, we were all like, they were all there. Like, I mean, we're in the pre-op room, and I just remember a funny story. So they put the numbing or whatever, the drugs, they gave me all the drugs right before surgery. And so then they asked me to disrobe, and the doctors have to mark up my breast, like this is the one with the cancer, with the, to like let everybody know what's happening. So there's this like cute guy that's doing it. So I am so looped out. First of all, I'm telling everybody in the room, if they're a Yankees fan, they have to get out because I just can't. And then so anyway, so he's like writing on there, and I was like, wow, I haven't had my boobs autographed since I met Matt Damon. And everybody's like, you never met Matt Damon. So it was like, anyway, just like totally backed out. But still, and then as they were all, I actually have a video of my mom and Jeannie dancing in the room to shoot. They were playing, or push it. They were playing Salt and Pepper to try to like, get me excited because that's, whatever. But
well, and that just goes to show you that there's always humor in the darkest and most bizarre times that you would not think so.
My God, the stuff they were telling me after I came to, they're like, yeah, first of all, this guy comes in, he's like, you kicked me out because I was a Yankee fan. And you whatever. It was really funny. But that kind of like moving forward into my chemo journey. Well, first of all, actually, after the double mastectomy, just a quick touch on that, the most painful thing. Well, I did have bunion surgery, which was also really painful. But a double mastectomy was so painful. It was such a grueling recovery. It was awful, actually. And, also not only the physical part of losing your breast, but the mental, like, I mean, not for nothing, but I had some pretty great breasts beforehand. Like they were my thing. They were awesome. I loved them. So like I had to kind of go through a little mourning process of that, and
well, it was part of your identity. You were busty.
I was busty. I had great boobs.
Yeah.
So like, and now, so they put in tissue expanders, and then the cool thing is that they would inflate them every 2 weeks. They'd like had this magnetic thing, and they knew exactly where the needle would go, and they would push in like cc's of saline, like a little bit each week to kind of like stretch the muscle and, to see it. I'm like, how big can we get them? Let's go, guys, keep going. But it was cool. It was kind of like, I'm like, I wish this was like a thing. Like, I want big boobs today. I want small boobs today. So like, can we just like adjust them?
Right. Depending on your outfit.
Yeah. Depending on your outfit.
So, but you bring up a great point that I just want to pause for a second is that, so much of being a woman, right, is our curves and breasts. And, for me, I've never been busty, but I nursed my children, nurtured them, nursed them. And, there's so much of our womanhood that is connected to breasts. So, and I don't think enough women, and that's why I give you credit for bringing that up, really pay attention to that piece, that you're mourning a piece of yourself. But like for you, it's like, how Dolly Parton was always known for her boobs. And like, that was like Gina.
Yeah. That was I was Gina with the good boobs.
Yeah.
Becky with the great hair. Gina with the good boobs. So that was tough. And then just kind of like moving into, I actually had a boob voyage. Have you heard of that?
No, but I've been to a farewell uterus party.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So
I had a couple of those boob voyage parties.
Wow. And what do you do there?
Well, I wear a really low cut shirt, and I let people motorboat me.
Oh, before you're, look at me. I'm like, oh,
You're
so
like,
sweet.
oh, okay. I
Oh,
wasn't expecting that.
no. I was like, oh, like how sweet.
Yeah. No, it was just like, I had like all my friends. I did one in Boston with all my Boston friends, and one in Jersey. Like everybody came out, and I just, it was fun. It was like just
Oh,
celebrating the girls for the last time.
well,
So,
and it's part of the mourning process,
mhm.
It's like a celebration of life. You were celebrating your boobs, and yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So then I moved into the chemo process, and God, that was horrible. It was like, I think I started in July and I ended in October. So July, August, September was like 4 months. And it was every other week. I had to do 4 vigorous treatments of, it's like AC, and they call it the red devil because it's red.
Mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then I had to do Taxol for the last 4 weeks. So the first 4 weeks were going to be the most intense. But there were so many things. So I had a whole process for chemo. I was like, okay, who's coming with me? Who's coming with me? So like every treatment, I had at least 2 visitors that flew in from. I mean, my best friends all came. They all came.
Which is so incredible.
Everybody showed up, and even after right after my surgery, I got an infection, and my boyfriend was at work, and he couldn't come to take me, and I couldn't drive at the time because it was like right after my surgery. So he couldn't take me. And so one of my friends was coming from Connecticut down to Jersey, but I had to go to the hospital in New York City. Mm-hmm. So my boyfriend's mom actually drove me to New York City. And then my girlfriend met me at the hospital. And then she calls my boyfriend and she's like, don't come. I got her. Like, you take care of your kids, like do your thing. So she stayed with me in the hospital overnight because they had to pump me with antibiotics and all the things. But so it's just like, and we had a great night. She introduced me to Grace and Frankie. She ordered takeout. Like it was just, I can't say enough about the people that came with me and supported me, like, and all the people in Jersey. My friend Lindy set up a meal train, and my boyfriend's son was on this baseball team called the Brawlers. Shout out to the Brawlers. And they all like brought me food. I mean, it was incredible. Gifts. It was something I could have never imagined, especially only having lived in that town for not even a year at the time. But, we had been dating 4 years prior, like doing long distance. So I did know people, but it was just incredible. My mom was down, and it was just, and I made each chemo session special. I wore a different Golden Girls shirt because I'm a Golden Girls obsessed fan. And
I knew about the wigs. I didn't know about the shirts.
So I had the Golden Girls shirts. And then also I had the wigs. So I have talked about the wigs where I have a different wig for every chemo treatment, and they all had their own personality. I mean, they were blue, pink, white, blonde, long, huge. I had Toya, I had Vivian, it was just, they were crazy. So the nurses were like, okay, who are we today? And I was like, well, hello, I'm Vivian today, and whatever. So that made it fun. I don't know if I would call it fun, but it made it tolerable.
Well, yeah. You turned something negative into a positive, and I'm sure you brightened the day and the spirits of the staff who see a lot of sadness, and the other patients receiving chemo. I'm sure you were like a bright light in that space, and that's important.
Yeah. And so that part was good. I didn't have a port, so they had to do needles. I have small, tiny veins. So sometimes they had to stick me 3 times to get the IV in. And it was grueling. They had to drug me up with some Ativan. And then luckily I didn't have any too bad reactions to the chemo. So I felt nauseous, but I didn't actually get sick. So that was good. But it knocked you out. And I was still working through it. I had a work from home job at the time. So I was still working and doing all of this. And then losing my hair, that was awful. That was absolutely awful.
And again, losing your breasts, losing your hair. Yeah.
Yeah, it was traumatic. And my best friend Jess from Myrtle Beach came up, and she's a hairdresser, and she came and, shaved my head, and we smoked a little weed and shaved my head, and I cried a whole lot. But, the wigs made it better. And I wore those wigs until my hair grew to like my chin, because I was like, nope, I'm not a short haired girl, like not doing it.
Right.
So, but yeah, it was really great to have that, that support. And, then that's when I started therapy and started, talking about what I was going through. And then finished up chemo. My 4 best friends came, Laura, Mandy, Jeannie, Marcy came for my last chemo, which was awesome. And it was also Soxtober then, and not for nothing, but the Red Sox won the World Series that year. So
for you, they did it for
me.
you.
They did it for me. And then guess what? The Pats won in 2019.
Wow.
So I'm like, I mean, it was just kind of weird, but
the upside.
Yeah. So finished chemo end of October. Then I had my exchange surgery where they take the tissue expanders out and put the implants in November. Then I started radiation right after that through the end of January. And one thing I will say, if anybody is going through this, my doctor at the time told me to do the implant exchange and get my implants and then do radiation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would recommend that route. I would do the radiation on the tissue expanders and then do your exchange, because I had to have another surgery a year and a half later because my boobs went like this, whoop, diagonal.
Oh.
Because the radiation shrunk the implant. So, yeah. And I mean, it lives in my skin. Like, it still is affecting my skin to this day, but I think it would have been a lot less severe had I.
What do you mean it lives in your skin? What lives in your skin?
The radiation, like it's constantly like, so even after I had my 3rd surgery where they took those implants out and put other implants in to like make them even, it's still like it still shrunk a little bit, which was very like, so like if I have the scar, for those of you looking on, if you have the scar, so like the scar goes like straight across, it would it puckered. So then I would have that little like pucker from the radiation, and there would be a little bit of dysmorphia, which is when I discovered cakes.
Right. And shout out to Cake's Body.
Yes. So I discovered cakes, and it's like the nipple cover, and everybody be like, why do you use that? You don't have nipples, because they took the nipples away too.
Right.
But it would give me shape and it would cover that imperfection. So shout out to Taylor and Casey. Like, thank you so much for making that product.
For sure.
Such an impact.
So, Gina, how long was the whole process from diagnosis to when you were done with treatment, done with surgeries, and felt healed physically?
Yeah, so I got diagnosed in April of 2018, and I finished treatments end of January of 2019. Okay. So it was a little less than a year.
Almost a year.
Almost a year, yeah. And then my cancer was hormone positive, so I had to start anti-hormone medication. So I started on Arimidex, which literally strips your body of all estrogen and progesterone, like basically everything, like everything out of my skin, my hair. I mean, I had nothing. And it also made me crazy, absolutely crazy, because it puts you in forced menopause. I was also doing Lupron injections to shut down your ovaries so that they didn't produce anything.
Yes.
So after a year of doing that, right before COVID, I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I switched to tamoxifen, which has been so much better. So I'm still to this day on tamoxifen, and probably will be for another 4 years.
So was there ever a point when you, that you can kind of identify where you felt like it was completely behind you and you were totally okay in the skin that you're in and felt like breast cancer didn't define you anymore?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know when that time was. I can tell you now I feel that way. I think it was a lot, right after I was done and switched the medications is when COVID hit. And, if you listen to our narcissist episode, I was going through some tough times in my relationship as well during that time. So I felt like I wasn't me. I gained a lot of weight. I gained probably 40, 45 pounds. Like, it was just, with the hormones and just, I wasn't prioritizing myself. I wasn't taking care of myself. And then I think, once I left the toxic situation that I was in and moved back to Connecticut 3 years ago and sought out some new therapy, shout out to my new therapist. I I think that's when I really kind of started to feel like myself again. And um, I switched doctors to my best friend Amanda Swan, and
Mm-hmm.
that was life changing as well. It's a whole nother episode.
Right.
But I think now looking back, I don't know how I got through that 5 years. Like it was very traumatic. It was a lot of things that happened in a row, and I have never felt better. Now I've started a workout program, doing bar fitness, and then lifting heavy weights at my two gyms that I love, Hot 11 and
Mm-hmm.
Energy Zone, and really prioritizing me and my health and my self care. And then we started this podcast, and I feel like we've really been able to bring a lot of things to light, but I think it's also done wonderful things for us too.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But your story, Gina, it's such a story of resilience. And for me, listening today, but also learning through you over time, that like the standouts for me is we need a network, we need a posse, we need people around us in our corner. And I know that's something that's very important to me, that um my time and my energy is like money, like T Swizzle says, and
Yes.
I spend it very intentionally, and I don't give my time to people who don't deserve it. And so it's a lesson. Like, we have to surround ourselves with people who are genuinely, authentically behind us, for us, with us, but
Mm-hmm.
also that attitude. You say cheer, but I mean, you do have sparkle, like you do have a light, and we have to stay positive. Like, when we give in to the negative and let our energy get low and in a down place, it does not serve us. It really doesn't.
No.
And, life is a gift. Every day is a gift, and we have to treat it that way and have an attitude that it's precious. And then our energy just shifts, and it's so important.
Yeah. And I mean and just having your people. I mean, having
Yeah.
your people with you, I mean, my family, my mom, my brother, my sister-in-law, my dad, like just having them, and then having my nieces and nephews, like they're the lights of my life. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to have this tribe of people, like as soon as I was diagnosed, I mean, they're just like, okay, give me a date, I'll be there. I'll hop on a
Right.
plane,
Right.
I will be there. Like,
Right.
no questions asked. Like,
Right.
Emily comes from South Carolina, Allison comes from Tennessee, Nikki. I mean, it's just everybody just,
Yeah.
and Stacy, shout out to Stacy
So
too.
important.
But yeah, so yeah.
Well, I think it's time for the magic question that we ask everyone else. What does well off mean to you?
So what well off means to me is being happy. That is my number one thing. And I know, looking back on some points of time in my life where I was not happy and I was not well off. I wasn't living my top shelf life.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that living your top shelf life is surrounding yourself with with good people, surrounding yourself with love and like-minded people, as you said. Not having people in your life that are causing you stress.
Mm-hmm.
One of my things that I'm saying these days is protect your peace. When you are at peace and when you're happy with yourself, and you can wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and be like, okay, I'm happy with who I am. I'm happy with what I'm doing. And I'm at that point in my life right now. And I just, I couldn't be more grateful for every opportunity that, God has given me and that I've created for myself and the people that I've met along the way. So just being happy with yourself is truly what well off means to me.
Amen, my sister. Well, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for opening up yourself today to help others. I know that it's not an easy thing to revisit and discuss. And so I honor you for doing that. For everyone listening today during Breast Cancer Awareness Month and beyond, it is one of the biggest honors of my life to do this with you.
Same.
And it's a gift. We learn so much, we meet so many interesting people, and I feel very fortunate. So thank you, my love.
Thank you. Thank you. This has been so great. And thank you for being the interviewer, for me sharing my story. And to ladies and men listening, it is so important to do your self breast checks. They say, oh, those aren't good, but tell that to the people who found their cancer when they self checked. So please make sure you're doing that. Please make sure you're staying on top of your annual mammograms and gyno appointments. Those are important as well. So stay on top of your health, because if you can prevent this, trust me, you do not want to go through it. So the sooner you can catch it, the better.
That's right. Thank you, Gina. And thank you, listeners.
Thank you.